can't really work out where to put the camera because I kind of want you to see what I'm doing but also talk to you guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm in a little bit of a different setup today because I thought we could do a little Q&A sort of get to know me. I did put a post up on Instagram finally. I don't know why I was so nervous to put a post up on Instagram for people to ask me questions. I think I just thought that nobody was going to ask anything and it would be really awkward. But yeah, I got a surprising amount. I actually need to get them up. Basically, I have got so many mugs that I need to attach handles to, so I thought I could just do that whilst answering the questions, just so that I'm not sitting just directly talking, because I find that a little bit awkward. I've got my handles ready, I've got my mugs here, I've got a cup of coffee obviously. Okie doke, let's see. Oh my god, the first question was literally tips on making handles please, so that's a pretty perfect one to start with. I use a handle extruder to make my handles. There's loads of videos of it on my Instagram. It's honestly the tool that I probably get the most questions about. It is just like a normal extruder from like a DIY shop. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a cartridge gun or something like that. I'm not really sure. You get that, and then I just made my own like little wooden sort of templates, the shape of my handle, and then I just extrude them. It just means that they're all uniform and they're all the same, and it's a lot quicker than having to coil each individual handle or pull each individual handle. Another thing that you can do as well is when you are drying out your handles, cover your mugs in plastic for a little while as well, just so that they dry slowly. Not too slowly, because I've also heard that can cause cracks. Drying them too quickly will definitely cause cracks. You just want it to be a nice slow process. I hope those little tips were useful. I don't want to spend too long in each question, otherwise I'll literally be here all day. So the next question is your pottery journey. That's a hard question to answer, because I feel like it's been a long journey, I'm not gonna lie. I think it was when I was in Australia, so I lived in Australia for a year. I used to just see pottery studios quite a lot over there. I think it was when I was like on my way to work or something, I used to pass a studio and I just used to be like, oh I really want to try that, but to be honest I was like traveling and I was really skint and I did not have the money to spend on pottery, because if you do pottery, you know it's not a cheap hobby. And then I got back home. I actually got back home like 2 days before lockdown hit, so lessons wasn't an option. Lockdown was a hard time for everybody. It was horrible, but also we found out that my gran had cancer during lockdown as well. And it was in the August that my gran passed away. And I know that some people, like with their grandparents, maybe they're not that close to them or they don't see them that often, but I genuinely, I feel like I'm gonna cry when I talk about this. So basically what I'm trying to say is me and my gran were extremely close. She genuinely was like a real best friend to me. She was more like a second mum than she was a gran. I feel like gran doesn't do her enough justice. She passed away in the August, and the timing of things is just so weird sometimes, because then it was during that time that I also met my boyfriend Fraser. The conversation of pottery didn't come up until like Christmas time. I was at this point kind of like distracting myself enough with other stuff, but I was like, I need to find something soon, or I know that I'm gonna like, my mental health is not gonna be good, because I just wasn't doing very well. And I mentioned pottery to Fraser and he was like, I'm pretty sure my dad's got like a pottery wheel and a kiln. I don't even know if he called it a kiln. I think he did, because I think I mentioned it was a kiln. And I was like, right Fraser, come on now. I don't actually know if we were going out at the time, but I was like, oh, he's just trying to say this to impress me, bless him, like he doesn't even know what a kiln is. It's kind of just like brushed off. I was like, go up to your dad, like take a picture of it, let me see, like this could not be a kiln that he's talking about. And I remember he sent me the picture and it was just like this thing, like, because to be honest, I didn't really know what a kiln was meant to look like, because I'd never really seen one either in real life. And he sent me this picture and it was just like loads of boxes and it almost looked like a big storage thing it was being used for. And I was like, right, okay. And then he sent me the picture of the pottery wheel. It wasn't like pottery wheels that I'd seen online. It was really big and like just an old pottery wheel, I guess. And I was like, yeah, I think that is a pottery wheel. And then eventually, when he introduced me to his dad and I went up to his dad's house, the first thing he said was like, come and see this wheel and kiln. I think he was just excited that he'd had this in his house for like 20 odd years and somebody was coming along that actually wanted to use it. And I remember being like, wow, okay, he actually, yeah, that's a wheel and that's a kiln. But do you know that way I didn't know his family that well, so I didn't want to be like can I come tomorrow and like use that? But yeah, basically over the next few months I just slowly started going up more and more gradually. I ordered clay online, had no idea. Like I remember when I went onto the website to order clay, I think it was in hot clays, and there was like school clay, buff clay, stoneware, earthenware, and I was like, what? I just wanted clay. Like what am I ordering here? I think the first bag I ordered was like a terracotta clay, which is really strange. There is clips of me trying the pottery wheel, and I remember going on it and just being like, what the fuck? How do people do this? That's when I discovered Florian Gadsby as well, and would literally eat my breakfast watching YouTube videos, and it would just be pottery videos on all the time. I was working in a marketing job, which was working from home at the time, so after work I would usually go up to the pottery wheel, have a practice. I did a lot of hand building at the start, to be honest, just because I was so terrified of the wheel. Like every time I went on it I couldn't make anything. Everything just looked terrible. The first thing I made on the wheel, because I'd had no lessons or anything, literally just looks like a ball of clay with like a thumb hole in it. And I remember taking it off and being like, look Fraser, I made that. And he must have been like, I don't know, I can do. Honestly, I can't tell you how good it was and how thankful I am that I discovered pottery at that time in my life. And I always like to think of it like it was my gran looking out for me some way, because no, I'm gonna cry again, I can't say that. I like to think of it that she passed, I met Fraser, and maybe in a way she brought it into my life because she knew I needed something to help me, and it did. I think I'm gonna stop talking about her now because genuinely I feel like I'm gonna cry. Oh my god, that is so awkward. Okay, stop. I've been blabbering so much about just that one story, but it is like a really important way of how I got into pottery, and I feel like that's why I love it so much, is because it helped me through such a hard time as well. After that I found a potter called Claude and Pebble who was local to me, and he gave me a few lessons on like how to throw like a basic cylinder and stuff, and he sort of mentored me through setting it up as a business, how to sell. We're still really good friends now. That's how it got started. I'm gonna stop it there. I feel like there might be more questions about it where I'll share like the further along part of the journey, but for the early how I got into it, that part of my pottery journey, that's that. Next one is, how did you grow your audience on social media? Any tips? So I started out on TikTok. This was back in 2021. All of the old videos are still on my TikTok. I grew, hold on, let me get this out. I grew 10,000 followers on TikTok just from slicing clay. Like, that's all I used to post because I was so terrified to post my face. And then eventually I started posting like little tutorials on how I make mugs and plates. I think it was like literally the only things that I could make. And then once I grew on TikTok a bit, I kind of got the confidence to move over to Instagram. But in terms of tips of growing it, honestly just be consistent. Like, it's so basic, but because I noticed such a difference, like if I don't post for a little while and then I go on and post, like my video just does so badly. Like, use trending sounds, like it's all the stuff you've probably heard before. Make sure it's like interesting to watch, so like chopping and changing the angles of stuff quite a lot. It is a real effort to create content. You have to be on social media quite a lot to know what's trending. It does take a lot out of you. I feel like that's why I burn out sometimes with social media, because the noise just gets too much and I'm like, oh, this is like when you, it's like when you watch somebody else watching TikTok and they're just scrolling and it's all these different sounds and you're like, oh, turn that off, that is so much. But when you're doing it, you don't notice that, but it's just so much for your brain to handle. Also, don't get too hung up about like numbers and stuff as well. Like, don't think, oh, because that person's got a bigger following, they're more successful, or they must be like selling more than me. That's not always the case. You can definitely be a successful potter and not have a big Instagram or TikTok following. It's definitely not easy. Like, honestly, I spend so many evenings where I want to be doing other stuff, like just lying on the couch watching Netflix, but I'm sitting editing videos because they take a while to edit as well. Yeah, you need to put in the effort to them as well, which that's why sometimes I don't post that regularly, because I'm like, I don't want to look at a screen anymore. I just want to, well, I don't want to look at that screen, I want to look at that screen and just binge watch Netflix. Hopefully that helped. I feel like you keep slightly changing angle because I keep stopping and starting it. Let's go on to another question. I'm taking so long to go through all these questions. Next one is, how did you start your small business? Want to start my own business in the future like you. Oh, that's really cute, thank you. To be honest, I think I started selling my pottery too early. Like, I think of some of the things that I sold, and not that there was like anything wrong with them, like they were still fully functional and stuff, but I just look at the shapes of them and I'm like, oh, that mug must have been like a ton weight to hold. Like, I don't know, there's just so many things I look back and cringe and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I sold that. I literally just made an Instagram and sold on stories. First couple of drops did well. I think it was my third drop where I really didn't sell much and I was like, I can never make a living from this. There's no way, how do people do it? That's when I started finding the route of like, okay, what else can I do to make money from pottery? And that's how I went into more of the content creation side. And when I went fully full-time, I went down the road of teaching. I did have like a full-time nanny job at the same time as starting up pottery, starting up my business. I did always just need that security of having like a set income each month before I took the leap of actually going like fully self-employed. But yeah, that's how it started. I feel like that's a really basic answer. What's the next one? Oh, did you try to sell at the beginning using Shopify? I kind of answered that there. No, because I didn't want to pay for Shopify when I wasn't sure how much money I'd be making for it. How do you manage everything yourself business-wise? Don't think I do. I have breakdowns all the time. It is hard, I'm not gonna lie, especially when you spend a lot of time alone. Things just seem to escalate in your head when you're by yourself a lot of the time. Like a problem that if I were to chat it out with somebody wouldn't be so bad. If you're just in your head about it, it just manifests into this really big problem and then you're like, oh my god, the world is ending if I don't sort this. But realistically it's not. I do get help from my mum though. She's amazing. If I'm doing like bigger group workshops and stuff, she'll like clean my tools for me. Her and my sister have been so good for coming along and helping me set up. Fraser is such a good help for things like turning on the kiln, because the kiln's still up at his dad's farm. So if I load the kiln and I don't want to turn it on yet, say the glaze is drying or something, he's really good for like doing that sort of stuff. So little things like that can help a lot. Obviously my dad helps a lot as well by what does my dad do? He does do stuff, he doesn't do as much as my mum though. I mean, this is his hut, so he's given me a place to actually have my business. They're all very, very supportive. I do remember they were very skeptical at first. Like, I remember going to my mum when I was working in the marketing job, which was like the desk job, and being like, I just want to do pottery. And she was like, Yasmine, how are you going to make money from that? One thing about me is I'm very determined, and I knew that I would find a way to make pottery work somehow. In terms of managing it all on your own, you just need to be prepared for a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices, like working weekends, working long hours, especially at the beginning. Like, to build it up to what it is now where I can relax a bit with it, that was hard. Because it's also the stress of like, I want to make this work so badly. I'm so scared if I stop, then things will stop, like opportunities will stop coming to me. I guess that I try and structure my weeks quite well so that I know what I'm doing each day, and making sure you've got a calendar that's like up to date as well, that has any important things coming along. But you'll find a way that works for you. Do you think it's okay to use a kiln at home? Which one did you choose at the beginning? Personally, I wouldn't have a kiln at home, as in your house. The fumes and the gases that I see coming out of my kiln, you don't want to be anywhere near that, breathing that in. I know a lot of potters have like a hut or a shed in their garden that they keep their kiln. If you're doing that, if you're having your kiln at home, I would put it somewhere like that. I just wouldn't have it in your house. That just, maybe that's not what you meant, but there's no way I would just not want that. I think you asked what kiln I had. I don't even know the make of my kiln. I think it's like a Firecraft kiln or something. Are you going to restock the white daisy mugs, please? I'm sorry. I honestly get so many questions about these daisy mugs, and every time I'm like, they're coming soon guys, they're coming soon. But they were coming soon, and then all the handles cracked on the ones that I was gonna do. So these ones should be white white and pink daisy mugs. What wheel do you use / size? The wheel I use is a Shimpo Whisper Tea wheel. In terms of size, I don't know, it's just the size it came. It's amazing. Compared to the one that I used up at the farm, like the one up at Fraser's dad's farm is so loud. Like it honestly sounds like a washing machine. Like pottery is meant to be relaxing, but I remember I used to come off that wheel and literally just be like, thank God that's over. You know, like when the extraction fan in your kitchen has just been on for ages and you turn it off and it's just that like relief of like, thank God that noise is away. That's what it was like being on that wheel. Did you attend pottery classes or did you self-teach? I would love to get into pottery. Oh, you definitely should. My situation was a bit different because it was kind of just as we were coming out of lockdowns, there was loads of restrictions. I don't even think a lot of pottery studios were open and stuff. Where I live, there's no pottery studios near me for like courses or lessons, so I would have had to travel to Glasgow. Bearing in mind I just found this pottery wheel and kiln, so I was like, I've got the equipment there. I tried to teach myself. I could not get centering down, so I was very stubborn and I would sit with my Florian Gadsby YouTube videos on the wheel trying to copy what he was doing, but for some reason it wasn't centering like the way he was. What I didn't realise was like it was the way that I was positioning my body. So I might have had my hands the same as his, but I wasn't listening to him in the sense that he was talking about his elbows, his posture, like it's all that kind of stuff when you're centering. Like you're really using your whole body when you're centering the clay. If you can't get centering down, you're not going to make anything decent. So I googled pottery, I think I just googled pottery Ayrshire and Clod and Pebble came up, so I found his Instagram. He didn't offer lessons or anything. He's not like a, like he doesn't teach ceramics, he's more of like a production potter. He's amazing. He can throw so much stuff, like it's insane. I think even at the time I was like, I really want to make pottery my job, but I can't do it, can you please help me? I went to lessons with him for a few months. I feel like pottery is one of those things, like you just need to learn the basics of it. The rest is just practice. So you need to put in hours and hours of practice on the wheel on your own. You need to let it go wrong. You can't be afraid of it going wrong. You can't be chasing perfection on the wheel all the time. You just need to be patient with it and not give up. Someone asked, what's the most challenging part of running a small business? I think it's just the constant hustle. Like it never really stops. Like the to-do list is never ending, and it's really hard to switch off from that when you go home or when you're having a day off. It's really hard to not even just like go on your phone or check an email, or if you see an email come through, to like ignore that until you're back at work in the studio is so difficult. It's really hard to set boundaries of when you are and aren't at work. Keeping on top of everything yourself as well, like you're everything. So if we're talking about pottery, you're the maker, you're the social media person, you're the cleaner, you're the person who does all the admin, the tax person, the finance department. I don't know, you're just doing everything on your own. I don't want it to sound like I'm complaining about loads here, but I just think it's good to be aware of all that stuff before you go ahead and set up a small business. My camera ran out of battery, so I had to charge it for a bit and cover these handles because it's so warm. It's like cloudy today, but it's really warm and they're drying out. I think I will answer like 2 more questions and then call it a day because I feel like I've just yapped on for so long here. So somebody asked how to get started at home. The first thing I'd always suggest if you're doing pottery at home is to try air dry clay first. You can get really good air dry clay. This isn't sponsored in any way, but I do work for them, Sculpt. The clay that they use is really good because it's like a stoneware clay with like fibres in it, so you can fire that clay as well. But I would like practice with that a little bit at home at first. If you're like, oh my god, I love this, and you do want to start investing in getting pottery equipment for your house, I would probably find like a second-hand pottery wheel. All you really need, to be honest, is your wheel, a few tools for throwing, some buckets so that you can deal with your reclaimed clay, and so you've got like a throwing bucket, a few shelves to keep your pieces, and some sponges. You can just buy like commercial glazes where you just paint on the glaze. They take up a lot less space as well. On your clay, Clay's pretty important. You will need to buy some clay. But the thing is, the kiln, I don't think I would invest in a kiln straight away. You can find pottery studios or sometimes just potters who rent out their kiln. Just make sure that they will accept your clay, or if you need to buy their clay. You just need to be super careful if you are doing it at home of all the clay dust as well. Also, if you don't have a wheel, you can do loads of hand building at home, even just like using your plates and bowls as molds, as long as you wrap them in like, I don't know, cling film or a tea towel or something so they don't stick. You can make loads of stuff. So yeah, that would be my recommendations if you were setting up like a little home studio. Okay, I'm gonna do one more question. I'll end, this is actually a really nice question. It says, how did you know it was the right thing for you? I think because I just became so obsessed with it. It was all I thought about. It was all I wanted to do. It was all I would watch on YouTube. It was, I just was so, and I still am, like I'm just always so interested in it and want to know more about it. I just kind of knew, and I knew really fast that I wanted to make it my job. Like even before I knew how to throw in the wheel, I was like, this is what I want to do in my life. It's like when people say that when you meet like your soulmate, you just know. I was like that with pottery. I just knew. It doesn't mean that I know what I want to do with my life in terms of like, I do feel lost with it sometimes. Like sometimes I'm like, do I want to do this forever as a job, or do I want to take it back to a hobby? But I mean, if you can do something you love as a job, like why wouldn't you? It's just hard sometimes to find the balance of not burning yourself out with it and still making time to be creative and have fun with it. It's kind of a hard question to answer because I just knew. So yeah, I have still got a lot of mugs to attach handles to, and it is getting on in the day, and I have a workshop tonight as well. So I'm going to leave this video here and I'm going to finish the rest of my mugs. I'm going to have some food before I teach my workshop, and then I'm going to head over for the night. But I do really hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry, I feel like I went on so many tangents, and hopefully I did answer the questions, but sometimes when I was chatting I was like, what am I even answering anymore? Like I'm just talking now, like I can't even remember the point of what I was saying. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you're new here. Let me know what you want me to do for my next video. I was actually thinking of doing like a studio tour. I'm thinking that might be my next video. I feel like I'll need to do a deep clean of this studio though before I take a video of it, but maybe I just shouldn't and just show the realities of what it's actually like. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye!